Hello, one and all. My name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff. And today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we're going to check out the brand new Space Replicator audio plugin from Lewitt. Starting all the way back in 2007, Lewitt Audio, for me, has been one of those microphone companies that doesn't really look to the past to get their inspiration for their microphone designs or really anything they do. Even their audio interfaces are totally unconventional, very functional, but they choose to look forward and they like being on the bleeding edge of technology, introducing their new plugin, the Space Replicator from Lewitt Audio. That's what we'll be checking out today in this video. And before we go any further, this is a sponsored video by Lewitt Audio. Lewitt Audio asked me to show you guys this plugin. However, all thoughts and opinions are still mine. Now, the Space Replicator plugin is not a new concept, all right? We have seen several companies try to build virtual spaces in order to, help check your mix, see what it would be like in various environments using various headphones, etc., etc. Now, the most obvious comparison that we're all thinking, I'm just gonna say it, the Slate VSX headphone and plugin, all right, which come as a pair. Now, a major caveat to the VSX stuff is you have to buy the headphones from Slate. Now with the Space Replicator, you don't have to do that. It seems to me, I don't know this for sure, but it seems to me Lewitt Audio bought several hundred headphones and they scanned the frequency responses of all of them, and you can just select which headphones you're using and you're basically good to go, which is pretty cool. Now, the second thing that differentiates the Space Replicator from something like VSX is how we hear sound is all totally subjective and a very personal thing. And to that end, Lewitt Audio is kind of solving for this by building a binaural profile. And what this basically is them learning through a series of basic questions, sonic questions when you're setting up your profile and the plugin. They want to know what your threshold is and how you hear things, any given thing, low end, top end, mid-range, and they basically ask you to pick which one you prefer out of a multiple choice question, several of them. I think this is a brilliant workaround to the time-old problem of, well, I hear something differently totally than you guys do, and vice versa. How do we overcome that, and how do we learn how you listen? They have done that with the binaural profile. So enough of my yapping. I'm gonna go ahead and fire up Pro Tools. I'm going to put on my Focal Clear MG headphones, and we're gonna dive into the Space Replicator plugin from Lewitt Audio. Okay, so I am in Pro Tools. I have the Space Replicator plugin up from Lewitt Audio, and it's important to note that this is the very last thing on the output from Pro Tools, right? As it should be. You're not gonna put it on a bus or something like that. You want this very, very last, even after any limiting or anything like that, right? After Soothe or whatever you use on your bus, this should be very, very last. Now, currently I do not have it engaged. I have my Focal Clear MG headphones on, and I'm just listening to Pro Tools as I normally would if I chose to use headphones, which sounds like this. Pretty cool. So let's get into the Space Replicator. Over here on the right, the lower right, you will have a very, very comprehensive list of headphones. And my first thought in seeing this is, did they actually buy all these headphones to measure and get an EQ curve? I would love to know. So my headphones are the Focal Clear MG, not the regular clears. These are the newer ones, the MGs. And this is what I've chosen. If you have, oh, there's a headphone too here. I have a set of these. There's just literally, there's everything. Oh, there's Apple AirPods Max in here as well. Okay. 64 audio. A12T. Oh, and the N8s. I have the N8s. Oh, I did not know this. That's pretty cool. So you will select your headphones. And let's see, I got to go back to, let's see, my Focal, Clear MG. My binaural profile is my FLEF default that we talked about earlier. And this is just my own personal preferences, my sonic preferences, and they kind of use those preferences and apply them globally to the Space Replicator. These aren't night and day differences. These are just, what you perceive as bright, what you perceive as whatever, right? And you can have multiples of those profiles, but for right now, we're using my default binaural profile. And off we go. I'm going to engage Space Replicator. We're going to start in the Lewitt Studio A. Down here in the center, we have our spaces. Right now, we are looking at all the spaces, the physical spaces. We have the Lewitt Studio A. We have the Vienna Stage A. We have White Sea Studio. This one's probably snake oil. We have a car, which we'll get to in just a second. It's probably my favorite. Watergate Club, a living room, a Lewitt Studio B, Vienna Seacron Stage B. We have a kitchen, and then we have a TV room. Now that's just the spaces. Now headphones, we can simulate what our mix is going to sound like on various headphones. AirPods, various earbuds, AirPods Max, and then we have a news tab, all right? So let's start with the spaces. Now, for those of you who are listening at home, this is not going to sound correct because right now we have the headphone profile set as Clear MGs, and that is what I am wearing, not you. So if you were listening to this, this is probably gonna sound fairly wonky. But I'm trying to illustrate what this thing does, all right? So Lewitt Studio A, here we go. So, in what context would I use this plugin? Well, for me and this mix, this is my recent mix I did for the Warm Audio Fentone microphones. I want to know how that kick is going to translate. Is the kick too loud? Because I do want it loud, but I don't want it overbearing. Okay, that's really what I'm listening to. Is I'm listening for the low end, but how's it going to sound on a phone? I would come here to my living room and I would select my cell phone. Ooh, I could also do a laptop, a MacBook Pro. Let's see how it sounds on MacBook speakers. So far, so good. I'm doing okay as far as the kick, I think. Let's go to the kitchen and let's bring up a Bluetooth speaker. This is modeled after a JBL, which I literally have in my bathroom. Now, something to note is the headphones are not going to sound like the spaces, right? So, the spaces are going to have all sorts of roominess to them, whereas the headphones, they're just gonna basically sound like putting on a different set of headphones. So they're gonna be much more direct and traditional sounding. So let's go to the AirPods. I really like the midfield on the Vienna Stage A. I believe those are Atoms, Atom S series or something like that. Really, really nice. Now, in the car, I love how you can choose the seating position. That's great. Driver's seat, of course, is probably where you're going to be most of the time if you're checking a mix in a car. But honestly, my favorite, my two favorite, my single favorite use is the living room iPhone. I think that's so good. Now, what's my conclusion as far as the kick goes? Honestly, it sounds like it's slightly too loud. Judging using the Space Replicator. So I'm actually going to keep this on. I'm not going to turn it off. I'm going to go to, let's go to the car, driver's seat. I'm going to go to my kick in Pro Tools, and I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Now, while I do this, I do want to be mindful of my headroom. I don't want to clip. Now, there's an auto engaging safe headroom, and it turns the volume down minus 12 dB. I don't feel like I need to do that, so I'm going to put it at minus 3 dB, and I've been generally pretty all right. But you just want to make sure you're not clipping and distorting basically the input of the Space Replicator, and you'll be totally fine. Pretty good. Up here on the right-hand side, you have utilitarian menus. You have websites. You have refresh, and that's basically it. Space Replicator, super sick plugin. I like it. So what do I think? Awesome plugin. I like that it's 99 bucks, and I like that I don't have to buy another set of headphones in order to use this plugin. It's gonna save everybody money. And if anybody is saving money, I love it. I am into it and I back it. Now, for me personally, I like these kinds of plugins because I can check, without having to physically go out to my car, I can physically check how my mix is gonna translate on various items. My two favorites are the Bluetooth speaker in the kitchen and the MacBook Pro in the living room. I think those are so useful and so amazing because we all consume all of this stuff on our phones and Bluetooth speakers and iPads and things like that anyway. So the fact that they included those kinds of things, and as far as I can tell, because I have an Apple iPhone 15, it is spot on. Kudos to Lewitt for including those profiles and spaces. I think this is pretty cool. At 99 bucks, it's a no-brainer. I will link down below in the description if you'd like to know more about anything Lewitt Audio. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.